Hi guys, welcome to the Differently Mom podcast. I am super grateful, super glad that you guys chose to tune in to this podcast today to listen to this. And trust me, you're not going to be disappointed. Well, I hope you're not anyways. And today we're going to be diving into a really juicy, important topic in my opinion. We're going to be talking a bit more about breakups. And before we get into that, I have other things to say, and there's a whole story to this episode and everything like that. But before I dive into all of this and all of my brain is like boiling right now, I wanted to let you guys know that if you're watching on YouTube, I've changed the background slightly. I'm now sat on my bed because I feel like this podcast is meant to be cozy. This podcast is meant for us to have candid one-on-one conversations, the two of us or whoever else is listening on the other side. And it's just, I feel like this background fits a lot better the vibe of this podcast. This podcast is not, we're talking about serious things. We definitely are, and we're diving deep and we're going into really important depths so that we can all heal and grow together. But simultaneously, I don't want it to be super serious. Like, we're just besties chatting, you know? Anyways, the other thing that I want to let you guys know is I'm so excited to announce that tomorrow I will be announcing something new. And I'll be launching something new that's going to accompany you all along the month of December. So if you're listening to this the moment it goes up, please mark your calendars and just get excited for tomorrow when I'm going to announce what's happening in December. It's going to be really exciting. And I know that if you've listened to the podcast for a while, I've been teasing this for a bit already. But the other thing I want to let you know is that because you're listening to this podcast, I'm just choosing to give you exclusive access to a little bit of a hint. So how am I going to do this? Think holiday season bestie. We're going to say that, and we're going to see if any one of you can guess what I'm planning, basically, what is coming up your way. And if you can't guess, anyways, tomorrow on Instagram and on YouTube and everywhere, it'll be launched, basically, so you'll know what's happening. Anyways, I'm digressing, I don't know how you say it. Let's go and dive into this week's podcast. We're going to be talking about breakups again. And if you have not been living under a rock, or if you haven't been following me for a while, I went through a really bad breakup this year. My first breakup ever, and my first and my worst. And it was really horrific on many different levels, and it was really tough. But it taught me a lot. It definitely did. And I have a whole video about how I got myself out of the horrible breakup pain. And I have a whole video on that I honestly think is really valuable. And if any one of you is going through that acute, horrible pain, I would highly recommend that you go watch it, because that video is really truly everything that I wished I had at the time. So when I was going through my breakup and crying every day and not eating and literally having my grandma on the phone with me so that I could fall asleep, that's how bad it got. And I was like Googling online, like how to get over your ex and how to feel better after a breakup and how long does it take to heal after a breakup, all that jazz. That's what I wish would have come up on YouTube, on Instagram, on Google. So I created it for you guys. I went in the trenches, and out of the trenches, I created what I really truly wanted and craved for at the time. So if anybody of you out here is resonating with this and feels like they need help with a breakup, please go watch that video. I'm sure it's going to help you. But today, actually, it's posting day, so we're the same day that I'm posting this video, and I had a video that I recorded yesterday, but I didn't like it. I was talking about meditation, and for some reason it wasn't landing correctly, and my heart wanted to talk about something else. Really truly, I was like, Orlane, what are you doing? I want to talk about something completely different. So I've listened to this, and this video is probably going to go up a bit later than expected, but we're going to be talking about breakups again. And we're going to take it from a different angle, though, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about why are breakups so tough? Because really, truly, sometimes I'm sat here when I was going through my breakup and really in the trenches, and I was like, why is this so tough? Why is going through a breakup like such a traumatic, difficult, horrible, painful, and sad process? And so I sat literally with myself for a couple minutes and I wrote down everything on a paper, and I'm going to talk about it with you guys. So I hope that you're still here and that you want to figure out with me and go on this journey as to why our breakup's so tough from my perspective. The first thing that I think why a breakup is so flipping difficult, it sounds very, very obvious, but I feel like I still need to say it. You are losing someone that you love. And the other thing that I need to say is that it's not because you're breaking up with someone that you now lose the love for them. So the moment the breakup happens, right, and your brain is like, hey, me and that guy, we're not together anymore. Okay, fine, my brain gets it, quote unquote, but my body doesn't get it. My body's going to be like, but why is this man not in my bed? Why are we not cuddling? Why is this not happening? You know what I mean? Like, there's this kind of massive dissonance and distance that happens where your whole, like, it's almost as if like yourself kind of splits between the part of yourself that knows that this is over and the other part that's like, but how can it be over? I still love him. He still means all of these things to me. He's still the one that I want to call when something's going wrong. He's still the one that I want to be there in my happy moments. I still want to text him and tell him that I got this grade in class or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, breakups are tough because you're losing someone that you love. And it's really, really, really difficult to get over that initial stage of it's kind of grieving. Like, a breakup is a whole grieving process. Yes, the person is not dead, but they are exiting your life and probably not going to come back. And so you have to now learn how to go through life in a whole new normal. You have to figure out the new normal for you without having this person in your life and without needing that person to text you and without being able to text that person and without being able to have physical intimacy with this person and all of these different things. That is already a very big component of why breakups are really tough. But I'm sure that we all know that. I'm sure that we all expect that a breakup is tough because you're losing the person that you love or the person that you were at least attached to. That feels very, very normal, feels like it all makes sense. The other thing that I think is a little bit more complex into the whole breakup, why breaking up is tough, is because you are losing a part of yourself. I said it. When you break up, you are losing a part of yourself. Honestly, my breakup was a massive identity crisis. There's no other way to say it. It was an identity crisis because I felt like, hey, like, I was with this guy and this is how I was acting and la 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 la, but now I want to do all of these other things and I guess I can do these other things, but like, who am I? Because I'm not dating him, but I kind of still love him, but also I'm moving past my love for him and figuring out who I am, and so who do I want to be separate from this relationship? Honestly, if you've been through this or if you're currently going through a breakup, I'm pretty sure you know exactly what I mean when I'm talking about like your brain going completely crazy and having all of these questions. But yeah, a breakup is tough because you do really feel like you're losing a part of yourself in multiple different layers. In the layer that you can't now identify as somebody that's in a relationship. You now kind of change status to single. And a lot of the times, a lot of us feel like, oh, I'm back to being single. And being single is, like, you know, it's almost as if, like, for some reason we associate being single to downgrading our lives. And that's in a whole other podcast episode that I'm going to do, is to, like, how to enjoy this actual single season and how to enjoy being single, because it's not always easy. It's not always easy, especially when you've known a good relationship and you've known the positives and advantages of being in a partnership. But simultaneously, the moment you break up, it feels like you're being downgraded to, oh, now I'm single again. Oh, it's so flipping tiring. I'm single again. Can you imagine? I'm single. Like, you know what I mean? It's all of these things that, like, you feel like, oh, my life, I've downgraded back on the social status ladder or something. But also simultaneously, on another level of why you're losing a part of yourself, is that you genuinely are losing a part of yourself, in the sense that that version of yourself that you are with that person is gone. And sorry, there's an ambulance passing. So the other thing that I was saying was you are genuinely losing a part of yourself, because that person that you were with them is gone. Because every single human that you interact with brings out certain qualities in you, right? Every single person has the ability to be a really, really good person or a really, really bad person. And a lot of the times the people that you bump into, the people that you decide to be friends with, the people that you chat to and spend time with are mirrors to you, and they reflect back on you certain qualities that you want to have, or they bring out certain aspects of you, if that makes sense. So every single person that you interact with is bringing out certain things within you. So let's say you have somebody that's really, really, really outgoing and kind of crazy and easygoing, and you're not really like that usually, but for some reason, the moment that you're with them, it's kind of like accentuating that small little trait of you that craves this sort of freedom and just living la vida loca, you know? But if that person leaves your life, that person is not anymore accentuating that trait, right? You're back to being kind of your default self that you are when there's nobody around you. And so necessarily when somebody exits your life, friendship or relationship, but today we're talking about relationships, they are in certain aspects, at least immediately, taking away a version of yourself that you were allowing yourself to be because they were there, right? But a part of healing is realizing that you can choose to be whoever you want to be. And if you being with that person made you super, super happy because you were actually able to live a much more carefree life, you kind of have to realize that it's not because this person has left that now you can't tap into that anymore. Now you know, thanks to that person and thanks to that relationship, that you are able to be somebody like that. You are able to be a bit more carefree. And so now you needs to go on a journey to figure out how you can have those qualities of yourself come out without having this person next to you. And so sometimes a whole journey of like healing and going through a breakup is figuring out, okay, what parts of myself did I like about myself when I was with them? Everything in life is a mirror. I say that all of the time, but it's genuinely true. There's this quote or this thing that I see quite often on Instagram that says that a lot of the times when you have a breakup, you feel like the love is gone and you feel like, you know, they leave and take your love with them. But they're not leaving and taking the love with them. It's just that now they've left. But this love that you were able to express and feel and share and put out into the world was yours. And you were choosing to express it and share it and give it, quote unquote, to that person. But that love is still within you. So this person that is now gone and exited your life or whatever, yeah, they've left, but they didn't take the love that you have within yourself with them. They didn't take your love battery or something and, you know, ran away with it. That battery is still yours. It's still within yourself. So you can choose to use that love battery whenever you want to. You can choose to be in love with life and fall in love with your life without having to fall in love with a person. You can choose to buy yourself flowers. You can choose to be so happy and use that love that you were projecting and giving to somebody else before and just give it to your own life, you know? And so I think that's the thing that immediately when a breakup happens, it's really, really tough because you feel that they're taking all of these parts of yourself with them because you only knew these parts of yourself when they were around. They initially are the person that showed you that these parts of yourself existed and existed in that way. But then leaving does not mean, it really truly does not mean that these parts of you are gone. You now have to go on a journey to figure out how to bring these parts of yourself back out, or without needing somebody to validate and allow you to show these parts of yourself. You now know that these parts of yourself exist. Now it's time to go on a journey to how am I going to allow these parts of myself to shine without needing the approval or validation of somebody else. Whew, that really came out of me really, really like aggressively. I'm sorry. And then the other thing that I have to talk about here on this episode as well, as to why a breakup is really, really tough. It's because, as I said, everything in life is a mirror. So as much as this person is putting a mirror back to you, as we talked about, all of the things that you enjoy about yourself and showing you that maybe you can be more carefree or you can be, I don't know, feel like you're more confident, all of these things that this person can show you and reflect back to you by their presence. And then you can go on a journey to have those things show up within your own life without having somebody needing to reflect it back to you. But simultaneously, because this person is a mirror to you, right? It's also going to put and accentuate and show you all of the stuff that you have to sort, all of the things that you haven't dealt with, the trauma that you still have, the triggers that you still have, attachment styles, codependency. You're confronted with all of these things the moment they're gone, because it's like everything comes up to the surface. So at least for me, and maybe that's just me, but I really don't think it is. When I went through my breakup and the whole very acute part of it was gone, and I was feeling a lot better, I now felt like I had a pile of crap, a pile of all of my shit that was just there. And I just had to slowly but surely decipher, go through my pile of dirty laundry and wash it and figure out, do I even want to keep this, or am I throwing it away? Am I donating it? Am I just throwing it because I don't want anybody else to have that, because that's really not a good trait, or whatever it is. And so it feels like the breakup really brought to the surface so many things that I had to sort. And I chose to sort these things. And that's why it feels so tough, because it feels like you're, first of all, propelled into intense feelings of grief and feeling like you're losing someone that you love and feeling like you're losing yourself and going on a whole identity crisis that we talked about. But on top of that, you're telling me that we're adding another layer where now I have to sort my shit? Now I actually have to? It's tiring. And that's why breakups are really, really, really tough. And I see it with my friends as well that are going through breakups, is that it brings up to the surface the stuff that we all inherently know that we had to sort, but now there's no other choice than to sort it, because the pain that we've gone through is really, really intense. The breakup was really, really bad. For instance, just a breakup is already tough anyways, but then, you go through a breakup and it's really, really intense and it's painful and it's bad. And so you're like, I don't want to go through this again. So I'm going to sort my stuff. I'm going to decipher and sit down with all of my dirty laundry and sit with it and figure out why it's there and heal it and clean it and dispose of it appropriately, because I don't want my next relationship to be the same pattern. I just don't want to. I refuse to. And so if I refuse my next relationship to be the same pattern that it was previously, then I have to sort my stuff. I have to sort my shit. I have to wash my laundry. But oh my gosh, if anybody is still following my laundry analogy. And so a lot of the times what comes up for us are attachment styles that we have to figure out, codependency that comes up. Another thing is the fear of being alone, right? A lot of the times being in a relationship gives us this sort of false sense of security because we have someone that loves us, we have someone around us, and so we're not alone, right? But a lot of people feel alone in relationships, and that's the worst feeling. I'd rather be single than be in a relationship and feel single, or be in a relationship and feel alone. That is not for me, and I will stay single. I do not want to have that sort of energy around me. And a lot of the times, the other things that come up for people is boundaries, right? A lot of the times you start to heal from your relationship and you start to look through and go back onto your relationship and you realize, oh, my life, I did not respect any of my boundaries. I did not clearly have very clear boundaries. I let myself be walked all over, and then you're kind of you have to go through on a journey of forgiving yourself for these things, but also realizing, okay, clearly I did not have clear boundaries and I let somebody walk all over me, or I let myself get completely energetically drained, or whatever it was. What are my boundaries then? Let me go on a journey to figure out what my boundaries are. And so again, that's a tough thing. And all of these things come on the back end of a breakup. And so I think people, I don't know, on Instagram and on social media, you always see either people that are in the trenches with a breakup and it's really, really tough and they're crying all day and they've just lost that person. Or, oh, I'm healed and it's a year later or it's 6 months later and I'm healed and look at that, I have a new man. But you don't see the middle bit. You don't see the disgusting, painful, confusing middle bit, You don't see that. And so that's why I'm trying to do this video, to explain why it's so tough and why it's so difficult. And also I don't blame people that don't want to show the middle bit, because it's tough. You're in the trenches most days. One day you're happy, one day you're not, then you're crying, then you're not, then you're at the top of the world, then you're not. So it's difficult, and you don't want to go online while you're tearing up and being like, I'm crying because this happened and la la la, and this thing is coming up again. And I thought, like, you're not going to do that, because you want to be in the full experience on your own, in your real life, not online. But then I feel like it's important to talk about this and normalize these things for people to realize that we're all human. And actually a lot of our experiences are very, very similar, but we just choose not to talk about it. And so then we all feel very like, oh my God, like I must be different. I must not be normal. But actually, no, like we're very, very similar. And it's just that people are not talking about these things. Also, talking about these things in your real life with your friends and with the people around you is also really, really important. Because it allows, again, to normalize these things and realize that we're all human. We all have stuff that's going on, and breakups are tough. Whatever reason, whatever circumstances, cheating, no cheating, it's always going to be tough. But just to go back on the topic of boundaries, if you guys feel like you want to create stronger boundaries and you are a bit confused as to how to do that, and you would want a clear process and like kind of somebody holding your hand while you do that, I have a whole podcast episode about that, about how to create clear and strong boundaries. So if you feel interested, if you feel pulled, if you feel called to watch that, it's there for you. So that's a resource that you can use, and I'll put the link down below in the description of the podcast and the YouTube video, so you can decide to watch it or listen to it if you feel that it'll be useful to you. And then the last thing that I'm going to say before I end this podcast is the other thing that I think we've slightly touched on it is actually about learning how to be single again. It's really difficult. It's really tough. And as I said, like I think I personally felt like I was downgrading. Like I was like, oh, I was in a relationship and now I'm single. Like what? That's so boring kind of thing. And over the months, over the weeks, I've just learned how to be single again. And I really am learning now to embrace it and enjoy it. And so the next podcast episode, or at least one in the future soon, will be about what I do to actually enjoy the single season, because it's not easy. It's not easy every day, for sure it's not. But simultaneously, if I'm going to be in the season, I'm going to make it as fun and as beautiful and as romantic as it can be, because I'm not going to be waiting around to not be single while I'm single and then be in a relationship and wish that I enjoyed my single season more, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's also a thing that is tough when you break up, is because you're losing all of these things about yourself, or you feel like you're losing all of these things about yourself. And on top of that, then you have to learn a whole new lifestyle, like learning how, like it's underrated, but like learning how to sleep in your own bed without somebody in there is tough. It's a bit weird. You're like, nobody's calling me to sleep. That's weird. Why? Just not having somebody that's cooking with you, cooking only one meal. Like it's just very weird. It's very difficult. And so going on this journey of learning how to be single again is difficult, but also learning how to enjoy it is sometimes even a little bit harder. And so that's why I'll do a video about that. But let me know what you thought about this episode. It was kind of like an episode that fully came from my chest. It came fully like that. Like I didn't really have any notes apart from a few different pointers. So let me know what you thought about it. As I said, this was not the planned video for today. I was supposed to talk about meditations, but I'm ending up talking about why breakups are tough. Hey ho, as I say, I'm letting myself be guided, living in the flow these days. And yeah, so if you did enjoy it, please subscribe to the YouTube channel or subscribe to the podcast, leave a comment, like the video, just to let me know that you've enjoyed it. And if you have any other things that you come up into your brain as to why a breakup is tough, please leave them in the comments or send me a DM. We can start a conversation about it. Breakups are tough, and sometimes it's nice to have just somebody that you feel like you can talk to or that you can share certain experiences with. So my DMs are definitely open for that, and the comment section is also open for that. And I'm also going to create this space to just send anybody that's listening, that's going through a breakup right now, and really in the trenches, a lot of love. A lot of love and a lot of hope that you will get through it on the other side, and you will get through it stronger, better. You'll get through it on the other side of this. You'll be stronger, you'll love more, and you would have learned so much about yourself. You would have met yourself in a way that you didn't even think was possible. And this journey is really, really difficult, as we said multiple times, but the beauty that can come out of it is so magical. So stick with it, because the magic on the other side and the magic through the journey is definitely worth it. So yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to edit this video, post it, and I really hope that you are going to enjoy it. And I really hope that you guys have an amazing rest of your day. So yeah, me voy. Bye guys.